Hello and welcome back to the Macca's Talk Hockey Podcast, the podcast where me and my brother Charlie talk about English ice hockey, specifically the National Ice Hockey League, the league we love and enjoy. And on today's episode, we've actually got a very special guest. We've got Martins Susters, who joined us for an interview yesterday, Charlie. Oh, sorry, Monday. And it was a really nice interview, wasn't it? Especially after the weekend Peterborough had.
Yeah, it was a cool interview, and from what I know, I think he's got the highest points per game in the league. So, quite a privilege to have him on. He's doing very well in his season, and yeah, it's kind of funny how I thought I'd start with this. We've come from hockey fans, hockey lovers, to interviewing some of the players, which is always it
Yeah.
always makes me laugh when we interview players because it's just like we went from being fans to having chats to them like we're mates. So it's
Yeah,
quite fun.
and there's not been a bad interview yet. Like every single hockey player who's come on has been so sound, and yeah, it's been a really nice interview. But we'll get to that after we've gone through all of this weekend. We've got quite a bit of hockey news as well. Dan isn't with us because he's actually in Sweden. Lucky him. He's watching the NHL, so he'll be on in a couple of weeks. But yeah, let's crack on into the news, Charlie, because there's quite a few news stories, especially today. The first one which come out this morning was Ed Landsberg's. He has left the Bees. Now, I'm guessing that was a mutual consent kind of thing. With the Bees, it'll be interesting to see where he goes. I've no doubts he'll go to another team in our league. Charlie, do you reckon?
Yeah, I don't think he quite got the opportunity at Bees. They have their way of working, and it is working, so you can't have a go at the Bees. But at Bays and Stoke, he was getting some top 6 minutes.
Yeah.
He's getting some good ice time under his bat, and he started to pick up really as the season got on after the halfway point. So I think he's going to be trying to look for a team where he can regain that confidence and form.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him in this league. He's definitely an NIHL standard player for sure, and I think it just takes clicking at another team. And we've seen players move on, and it's worked. Sam Cooper's another one, so that's the news from the Bees. Moving on to Leeds Knights, literally come out about an hour ago. Josh Adkins has left the Knights, despite being their third top point scorers. Fourth top point scorer, with 12 goals and 11 assists, Charlie. Are you surprised about that? Or do you think it's a very good, well, not a very good move, but a move that Aldridge had to make?
I didn't watch Josh Atkins enough personally to be able to make my judgment on him. He was a big import, big forward. But the one thing I do know and the judgment I can make is Ryan Aldridge is very, very good at signing imports.
Yeah.
So if he's going to get rid of an import who scored 23 points in 13 games, he's going to bring in an import who is good. So for Leeds, they're 4 points clear, but they're not happy there. They want to make statements. They want to beat this league. They know that MK, Hull, Peterborough are on their back, and they know that if they don't make these changes, there could be a chance that they know how to win a title, and Aldridge is definitely going to try and make a change to win another one.
I think that just shows how much of a winning team they are if they're getting rid of a player who has scored a lot of points for him. And the point that Aldridge made in the article was he wasn't consistent enough. Now, you can get points in that Leeds team no matter who you are with the players around you. The only interesting thing I'll say is I think he had one more point than Baron. But I think when we watched him, maybe Baron just offered a bit more. Do you reckon, Charlie?
I was looking into it because obviously a lot of fans who don't watch Leeds as much were commenting, "Oh, why would you get rid of an import? Well, that's a stupid decision." And then a Leeds fan quote tweeted, "If he's being honest, he felt like Atkins got them second assists. Atkins, when they beat teams by lots of goals, Atkins would be there, but in them games where you really need a guy to step up, Atkins wouldn't quite do it."
Yeah.
And I wonder as well whether defensive two-way game was a key thing for Ryan Aldridge, because as well as the offensive zone, you have to be good in the defensive zone. And I wonder, but to be honest, if another team in the league picked up Atkins, he knows how to find the net back of the net. 12 goals in 13 games.
It's not too bad. We'll have to see who they bring in. I think in the article it said they're announcing it tomorrow morning. I'm going to be trying to get this up tonight. It is Wednesday as recording this. The last bit of news is to an elite league team. It is Petr Cech on loan to the Belfast Giants. Now, for me, I'm just going to put this out there. I think it's a massive publicity stunt for Belfast, a positive publicity stunt. I don't think he's going to get a game in the elite league. I don't think he'd even be able to get a team in our league. That's not me slandering Cech. He's the greatest ever Premier League goalkeeper in football. yeah, do you think this is a publicity kind of stunt for them, Charlie?
I slightly disagree. Not
Okay.
with anything. I don't think Czech is this unbelievable goalie in ice hockey. I think he's decent and he does his job.
Yeah, he's a
I
decent
actually think,
keeper.
from what I've seen with the Elite League, Belfast need a winning mentality.
Mm.
And what better can you get than a Champions League winner?
Fair enough, yeah.
I actually think bringing Czech into that dressing room, he can just he will inspire players, he will help motivate players, and he will know what to speak to players. So I actually think they may have almost brought him in because one,
Yeah.
Petr Cech will find experience in being in the Elite League, and two, he can be a good player in the dressing room to help out because I think they're on 4 losses in 5 games. So I think maybe it's more of a dressing room and. Yes.
Yeah, maybe I'm being a bit too harsh. It's not completely a publicity stunt. Obviously, he's going to bring in more viewers. They're going to get loads of clicks, and that's great for a club in England who are not the main country of ice hockey. But yeah, you're right. Actually, the winning mentality. He's won it. He's a big guy as well. He's going to help in training, the stuff we see outside the game. So yeah, that's a good point actually you made. And it'll be interesting. Imagine if the goalie does have to go off and Petr Cech comes in. That would be pretty mental, wouldn't it? I'd love to see that
in overtime penalty shots. That's what I want to see.
That would be class.
Got you right up. Can't play in the Elite League.
There's another little news bit. I'm not going to touch on this too much, but Dave Cloutman has just put on Twitter that he would be down to being the head of the DOPS, the Department of Player Safety. A former referee. I think he'd do a decent job, Charlie.
Yeah. Like I said, you need to pay the money for the people, so they put in the best amount of time. And Dave Cloutman, I don't remember him reffing, but I've heard good things. So I think getting an ex-referee actually as the DOPS, I think is a good idea.
Yeah. The final bit of news, I think we have to mention it because we are a hockey podcast. It was that a person has been arrested for the charge, arrested for manslaughter, obviously with the passing of Adam Johnson. We know that is Matt Petgrave, and I still stand with Matt Petgrave. It's a freak accident. Someone in the NHL yesterday literally lost an edge, and luckily it didn't catch the guy. But yeah, he has been arrested for manslaughter, but he's been released on bail. So this doesn't mean he's actually been charged with it yet. There's a lot of trolls, and I try and stay off the Twitter and the X because some of the stuff which gets put on there is horrible. But I thought I'd just put that there as a bit of news. And yeah, he's released on bail. So this doesn't mean he's actually charged. This police procedure because someone has died from it. So yeah, as I said, all of our thoughts and stuff are with the team, the Panthers, everyone who was at the rink, and obviously Adam Johnson's family as well, and hopefully Petgrave, there's people around him as well. So I thought I'd just put that out there. Charlie, do you anything to add on that?
No, you spoke very well.
Right, let's get on to the weekly roundup because boy, it was we had a we'll go into it. But let's start. Shall we start with the Wildcats? Because we were the first game of the weekend. We were the Friday game. And as much as we did lose the game, it was one of the games of the season, Charlie. 5-3 to the MK Lightning. I really think we deserve something from that game because it was a really good performance. But the Lightning got the job done, and fair play to them.
We were the better team. I want to say how it is. MK took their chances better than us. And Headley was the better goalie on the night. The goalie won it for them for me. He played really well, Headley. And another shout out to Max Stewart. I thought he was phenomenal on the night as well. They got an annoying lucky goal. Whether I think Rennie would take that one back.
So I've seen that back on record. If you haven't watched it, go look at MK. So we're on a power play and Max Stewart's put forechecked on the penalty kill. He's flicked the puck, but they're behind the goal. He's flicked the puck towards Rennie. Rennie's actually covering the angle, but it hits his skate and bobbles over his skate. So he's actually covered the angle, but it's had a really unfortunate bounce and it's popped over his skate into the goal. I'm not going to completely blame Rennie for that because I think it's just an unfortunate bounce, but he'd love to have that one back, Charlie, because that was a massive moment in the game, wasn't it? Just before the end of the period. But we had a 5-on-3, so we're not going to completely blame it on that lucky bounce. We had a 5-on-3 to tie it up and then even go ahead. But MK defended it really well. We didn't take the chances and they walked away with 2 points, and fair play to them. And then on the Saturday, Charlie, it just, mate, that was, and as a Swindon fan, it is hard to suck up, but I think they'll be disappointed with that, won't they? They gave away a 4-2 lead, and then to give it away with 15 seconds to go to their two best players, Dunbar and Peacock, you just can't be doing that. And Solway, fair play to them, because they battled back in the game. They did all that travelling, and they come away with the 6-4, because they got the empty net as well. 6-4 win. Charlie, we were both disappointed with that, weren't we?
It was silly. It was silly. Credit to Solway, first of all. They were good. Dunbar was best game I've seen him.
Phenomenal.
And apparently, for the final goal, he flicked it up and battered it with his stick. That's what someone told me from the other end. So Dunbar and Peacock did their thing. But on to Swindon. It's not good enough. Like, from a Swindon fan's point of view, when you're 4-2 up in a game like that, I really expect us to manage the game a little bit better. And the fifth goal was silly. It was sloppy. But this is mistakes you make in this league.
It's a learning curve, isn't it?
It's so competitive, and you can't take your foot off the gas. And we've seen it this weekend. MK lost to Solway. The only team which isn't taking their foot off the gas is Leeds. Every other team is dropping points all the time in games you may not expect them to. And it's frustrating. It's silly from Swindon. And as Aaron said, it was probably our second worst performance of the season. And it's just one of them frustrating ones. But the boys are doing well. They're not training. They went to MK the day before, then they went to Cardiff. It's difficult for them, so I have so much sympathy, and I'm excited for when the Link Centre comes back and we can just get in a proper run of games.
Yeah, we won't say too much more on it. The players will be disappointed. They know that they could have handled that game a bit better when they were 4-2 up. But yeah, it is what it is. That's hockey, and fair play to Solway. And let's move on to their game on Sunday, because they beat the MK Lightning at home 4-3, getting the 4-point weekend. And I'm not going to lie, I'm so happy for them. That is a huge victory. And I think MK fans are starting to see maybe there's a bit of underbelly in the MK squad, Charlie, when they're away from home.
Well, I made 2 points at the start of the season.
You did.
I still stand by them. I think their decore's too small. And the reason I think their decore's too small is because in small rinks, I think they struggle. And I think the two Kahid. And again, they just don't seem to get going when it gets tough. They don't. In the away games, in the small rinks, they don't get going when it's tough. And I know they're missing Lawrence, but congratulations to Solway Sharks. Congratulations to John Strange. Fair play to him.
Yes, I'm happy. And Ross Murray, let's shout him out. He's had a bit of banter with us back and forth at the start of the season, but we dropped him a message. We said, fair play, 4-point weekend. I think he's going to come on at some point as well. But that's a massive weekend. And John Dunbar and Craig Peacock, their partnership, their link up, they just know each other like the back of their hand. That fifth goal, John Dunbar just putting it on a plate. They are so good, aren't they? And you can tell the levels of those elite league players, can't you?
Yeah, and then a guy who's gone under the radar, and you've got to remember Solway, a second bottom of the league, maybe third bottom. Yeah, second bottom.
Yeah, they're 10th.
Remember, pretty much is second bottom of the league, and an import who doesn't play with Peacock or Dunbar.
Gardenier. Yeah.
And he's turning up for them. He really is. He's not playing with the big boys, playing with Scott Henderson and another guy. And don't get me wrong, they're not bad players, but they're not like top National League standard players. And he's still putting up the points. He's still working hard. And whenever I've watched him, he seemed like one of their biggest threats.
One thing I'll say, I think he's found his feet. He was finding his feet a bit at the start of the season, like any new import was, but he's slowly getting used to it now. And you can see him coming into his own. He's getting used to the players around him. And he had a fantastic weekend as well. And yeah, we'll see if Solway can kick on from that, because that's two very big teams you'd say that they've beaten in the Cardiff rink as well. So that'll be big for them. We'll move on to the Knights, because they've got yet another 4-point weekend. And I said there would be goals, and there was goals on the Saturday. It was 6-4 to the Knights in Raiders. The Raiders gave it a good go, but then they did beat them on the Sunday 7-2. They are relentless at home, Leeds. And if they get this new import and he's even better, they're going to be even more of a force, aren't they, Charlie?
Well, the thing with Leeds is when it gets tough, they get going.
Yeah.
And they're really good at hockey. They're just really good.
Yeah.
Like, their top six is a joke. And now they've got a third line where you've got players like Ollie Endicott who go so under the radar in a team like that, because he puts up points now. They've got third line, which is putting up points. They've got, in my opinion, a better decor than last year. Bo Neely putting out the points, McMullen, you've still got Griffin. Then you've got players like Bailey Perry, who are very underrated, and Hier, who keeps improving. So I think with Leeds, I only see them getting better, not worse. Yeah, and then Boyce added into that team. Leeds Knights, it's going to be tough to beat them this year.
Yeah, but one thing I will say is, we'll move on to this. The Seahawks, a 4-point weekend for them, just staying in the mix. On the Saturday, they beat the Steel Dogs 3-2. And on the Sunday was an absolute stonking game. It finished 10-6 in the end against the Pitbulls, but it was back and forth, and they eventually ran away with it. With their games in hand, if they win those games in hand, they are only 2 points off Leeds. So it's not like Leeds are running completely away with it. And let's remember, it is still early days. MK aren't out of it yet. I know we've said they've struggled a bit in games, but they're not out of it yet. But fair play to the Seahawks. They're getting the business done as well.
Yeah, the Seahawks are. And they've actually bounced back very well after losing 2 games on the bounce, which has impressed me. There's going to be tough moments, and they did concede 6. But I'm interested to see how the Seahawks line up against Leeds. I don't know if that game's happened yet. I don't think it has.
Not sure.
So,
no.
I'm very excited to see how they line up because the Seahawks have MK's number. So maybe they're one of them teams which turns up against big games. And games v Leeds and Seahawks will be really important to see if Leeds can just continue to build a gap or that gap closes.
Yeah, 100%. We'll move on to a team which is struggling a bit, is the Pitbulls. 20 goals conceded this weekend, back-to-back games conceding 10 goals. 10-1 at home against the Phantoms, and then 10-6 away against the Seahawks. They're struggling a bit, aren't they? They are struggling a bit, Charlie, and they currently sit bottom of the National League.
With their squad, you just can't concede 10 at home.
No.
You can't do it. And it can be a one-off occasion, but it's back-to-back games now. And it's difficult to see the light for Bristol. Now you've got Solway bag a 4-game weekend. I think Bristol on 2 wins this season in 14, 15 games.
Yeah.
And
they're on 2 wins, and one of them was against us, wasn't it?
and it's got to be better from them. It's got to be better from them. And I think they need to really regroup as a team, really bond as a team, because when they play Swindon, they are good. Yeah. They're not bad. Like, they turn up against Swindon. They're not a bad team. They're better than losing 10-1, and that's a credit to them. I'm not putting them down by this because they are better. They've got players like Bailey, Harding, Corrick, the new Butler, who I massively rate Butler when I've watched him. So I really do think they offer more than they're showing. They regroup as a team and they can get going, because I do think Bristol can do what Solway have done, where you can pick up 4-point weekends, because they've shown they picked up 3 points versus Sheffield, they picked up 2 points versus us, and they just need to find that form quick before it gets silly.
Yeah, I don't know if they need a reshuffle, but as you said, they got some good forwards. Maybe the defense. We rate Norton highly. He's still a young goalkeeper, but perhaps maybe he's getting too much
goal for both games.
I think Norton might have got pulled on the Saturday. I'm not sure, but we'll move on to the team who they did get beat 10 by, and actually we'll save them. The other team I just wanted to mention was the Steel Dogs. They had a 0-point weekend this weekend. They're struggling a bit as well. They are just in the playoffs in 8th spot, but only a point in front. Do you think they really are lacking that import, Charlie, that extra import slot? I know we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago.
I'll be honest, I think they're lacking goals, wherever they come from. Whether you say an import or not, they're a lower budget team, and there's some players in that team which aren't quite hitting it yet. Yeah. You've obviously got Hewitt, Phillips, Bissonette.
Sorry, just to put this out there, you are right. They're the lowest scoring team in the league with 39 goals. Now, I know they played 1 game less, but still.
They've got Hewitt, Phillips, Bissonette, Vlad as what you'd call their 4 best forwards. They're level up forwards, and you want them to do well. And then you've got Brammer, Doxy, Palmer, the new Shudra. You've got players like these, and they need goals. They need to start getting in the back of the net. I think they scored three goals this weekend, 2 against the Seahawks and 1 against Telford.
Yeah, 3.
You need more than that. You need more goals. I like their defense. I like their goalie, but they need to be fighting the back of the net. And I believe Hewitt can do it. I was saying it to Mitchell, the Sheffield fan. I like this Sheffield team. I think they've got a lot about them. I think they've got a bite about them. I think they've got this passion about them. And I think maybe an import from the Steelers, maybe something like that, something which can wake them up.
What they did with Valkic. Remember Valkic?
I have a feeling that they'll get some mid-season signing, which will really align them. Because I really think
because they are a playoff team. Remember this: they are a playoff team. If we can just get in the playoffs on them one-off games, they can be so good and they set up so well. So I think they've just got to try and grind it out to the playoffs. You are right, though. They don't concede a lot of goals. They've only conceded 51 goals. But they're just not scoring enough. And this is what we thought would happen with Peterborough. We said that Peterborough have lost quite a few forwards in Cyrus Ennis. They obviously lost Glenn Billin. Where are they going to get their goals from? Well, we're going to them in a minute. But they've got this really good defensive core. Sheffield have this amazing defensive core. But with all these forwards in the league, these great attacking players, you need to be able to score a lot of goals. So I just think they need to find some ways to score more goals on their rink and make the rink their own, make that home stadium their own with that duo with the Steelers. Try to get some more fans through the door. I know it's not easy. But yeah, anything else to add on the Steel Dogs?
Yeah, Sam Cooper's good. I like him.
He's decent. He was a nice little signing. But again, that's a defenseman. And they probably need some more high-end forwards, would you say? We'll have to see. Yeah. The last team will go. Telford got. Telford. We'll just quickly go over it. Bees beat the Tigers in overtime. Ballas and Gabadge again combining. And the new import scored on Sunday. They lost to the Phantoms, which we'll go into a second. And then the final one was the Tigers getting 2 points from this weekend. But the final team, before we get into the Sisters interview, is the Phantoms. And they were the team of the week. They had 3 players of the week. We couldn't choose between them. Charlie, they were excellent this weekend.
Yeah. Very good at hockey. Yeah. They've got 3 players in that team who are just on smoke right now. You'll hear in the interview, but Susters, I like him because he backs himself. He knows, and he just loves hockey. And they know that they're good at hockey. And I like that. You see it with Leeds. You see it in the top players of Leeds. You see it in the top players of the top teams. They're just good at hockey. So they're like just enjoying hockey whilst bagging 12 points in 2 games.
It's 12 goals and 14 assists between just Slagkowski, Ferrara, and Susters. Like that line, and you'll see in the interview, he bumps Ferrara up. It is just a joke, and they are scoring so many goals. I watched the highlights against Bristol. I do feel a bit for Bristol, but Peterborough could have actually scored more than 10. They had a lot of chances, and that top line is just deadly. And maybe that's the way to beat the Bees. They beat the Bees 5-3, and they matched the top line against Bees' top line. So maybe you have to match your top line against that Ballas Gabadge line to try and get something out of the game. But yeah, let's get into the interview because Susters talks about Peterborough more. He talks about his career. It's a really nice interview. Let's get into it, Charlie. Hello, welcome back to another interview. Charlie, do you want to introduce our guest?
Yes, we would like to welcome onto the podcast today a skillful point-scoring forward. He has been a top point scorer at the National League level for a while, but this year he is hitting new highs. He has just come off the back of hitting 11 points in 2 games. It's Phantoms forward, Martins Susters. Welcome on, mate. Welcome on.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for hopping on. How was it this weekend? You, Ferrara, and Slagkowski absolutely tore it apart.
Yeah, it was a fun one. Well, Feds moved up in our line for this weekend, and you know, me and Lucas have been playing from the start, and we always push each other to be better every game, and you know, we always have these chats before to be better, score more, and just get the most enjoyment out of the game. And knowing the quality Feds can bring to our lineup as well, it's just 3 very high skilled, very high IQ players, and you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, it just seems to have clicked between you 3. Did Slava, you said he brought Ferrara up to your line. Did Slava just change it around a bit because he knew you guys would be the best 3 in the top line?
I think he had to kind of take a gamble, kind of try and go one line very powerful. And but this weekend it worked out pretty well for us. And hopefully, you know, we got a big weekend coming up this week, so I'm sure the line will stay, and it's going to be a good challenge for ourselves to just keep showing the high level we can do.
Yeah. But before we get on to your career, I just wanted to ask quickly with the Phantoms this season, because in previous seasons, Slava's kind of taken a defensive kind of style, which me and Charlie have respected a lot, but you've still brought goals. This season's been a bit different because you guys have scored a lot of goals and you've had some high scoring games. Has he noticed the amount of forwards and the talent within the league and your team as well, and changed it a bit this season, and that's why you're scoring a lot more goals?
I think, well, personally, I know my line, we try to always play very offensive, but, playing for Slava for so many years, I would say always defense is first and then offense is kind of second.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just kind of turned out this season that our production has been very, very high. So
yeah, definitely. Go on, Charlie.
Yeah, I wanted to just ask about the goal you scored this season. You scored a juicy backhand, and I believe it was versus Leeds, was it?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
How did you manage that one then?
Well, and again, it was I think it was me and Lucas going into the zone, giving kind of back and forward passes, and then I just saw an opportunity to kind of cut in the middle and just do a spinning rammer, and luckily we went in.
Yeah. It was unfortunate that weekend because that was the weekend Herman scored the Michigan, so it didn't quite get the credit it deserved, really.
Yeah, went under the radar a bit.
But, it was a good goal, but personally, I wasn't really happy because we started off the game very well. I think we were like 4-1 up, and we ended up giving the game away, which, I would say shouldn't have done that. Should have been better.
It's been quite a competitive season. You've seen the Bees. Obviously, you played them this weekend. How have you found it this season? And does it remind you a bit of back in the EPL days when you were a youngster, just the competitiveness of the league?
Yeah, I think this season the teams are more equal. Anyone can beat anyone on a night, which is better, I would say, because then the competition is the league is more fun. I don't think. I know last year Leeds kind of overtook everyone, but I don't think it's going to happen the same this year.
Yeah.
Because we've got, I would say Oz, MK, Leeds, and Hull.
Hull are up there as well, yeah.
Yeah, they're up there as well, and I'm sure, like, between all four of us, there's going to be a very tight gap for the top position.
Yeah. Go on, Charlie.
Yeah, it's very exciting this year. It's very exciting, and some players maybe who we didn't think would be at the top. We've got Marcel Ballas and Gabaj, so there's lots of players pushing up. But should we just take it back to the youth slightly? You are a Peterborough Phantoms junior. You've been all around. You've been to Sheffield, Nottingham, Peterborough. Is there a reason for going to lots of different youth teams?
I think the reason why I was moving is just trying to find the best level of hockey at the time.
Yeah.
And trying to get into the senior teams, because that's when you can kind of develop from playing juniors to kind of go into that next level.
Yeah, and you came up through the Phantom system, and you got your shot at in the EPL days. Were you 17 years old at the time wearing the cage?
If I remember correctly, yeah, that's true. I started training with the team when I was 16, I think.
Yeah.
And Slava was my coach from day one, and he gave me the opportunity, and I had some very enjoyable times in EPL as well.
Yeah, you played 2 seasons in the EPL. The second season especially, you played 48 games. You got 15 points against teams with 5 imports, it was back then. How was that playing at such a young age and Slava trusting the youth players?
The thing about Slava, he's got an incredible experience bringing out the best of, let's say, younger players who are just developing, and that just shows in the past what he's done with younger guys. And he put me with import Peter, and we
Stepanek.
had yes, we had
Yeah.
awesome chemistry, and I think we played at least 2 or 3 seasons together.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a few good years.
Yeah, because you in the 16-17 season, you really kind of kicked off your point scoring journey in the men's hockey. You scored 38 points in 43 games in the EPIHL, which is no joke for that league. As like you must have been about 20 years old. What do you think kind of clicked at that kind of 20-21-year-old age to get the points in the net?
I was given a bigger role in the team. I was playing more minutes, and as I said, I had a very good liner, Peter, and we had a very good chemistry. And I think personally, if you want to produce, you do need to have that one or, if you're lucky, 2 guys on the line, which you can, feel without really looking or knowing where he's going to be, because, his quality is the same as yours, or if not better.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the game so beautiful.
Do you think it helped that you were quite a big player for your age? You're quite tall and you're quite strong on the puck, even when you were 18, 19 years old?
Yeah, 100%. Like the size helps a lot, especially protecting the puck in the corners, etc.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's advantage.
You made the move after that 16-17 season back to Latvia. What was the reasoning behind that? Did you just want to go and explore some more European hockey?
No. Well, the reason was when I got invited to the national team for under-18s, under-20s, but I managed to get quite stupid injuries, and I didn't make the national team because of that. And the reason why I joined the Latvian team was because at the time that was like a foreign club to the national team.
Yeah.
But there's a whole story. Didn't really get played there and didn't get the opportunity. Well, I should have, but it is what it is.
And you made the move. Actually, I remember this because it was the NIHL 1 days, and you signed for Invicta Dynamos. And me and Charlie were actually quite shocked that you signed for Invicta. But then, only 11 games later, you then went back to Peterborough. What was the decision behind that? Did Slava say, "Martins, I want you back in my team"?
Well, to be honest, me and Slav, we always keep in touch. And I started off the season in Invicta. They gave me an opportunity to play there, and kind of, I would say I wasn't really feeling the vibe up there, and I spoke to Slava, and he knows what kind of a player I am, what I can bring to the table.
Yeah.
And I ended up going back.
Yeah, back home. Go on, Charlie.
Yeah. So then you obviously you had a good National League One season. How did you as a player find the National League One? Because obviously you played in the EPL and you played in what the National League is now. How did you find it when the two leagues were split up?
I think at that time the league was easier because there were teams which you could predict you should beat 100%.
Yeah.
And then you kind of had, if I remember correctly, probably 3, maximum 4, which you had nice and challenging games. So it wasn't a good competition, I would say.
Yeah. And it was literally, I think it was Swindon Wildcats, it was Basingstoke Bees and Peterborough. I think that was literally the 4 teams from the National League split up. And it was silly amount of goals in some of the games. But after that 1920 season, you didn't play for a couple seasons. What was the reasoning behind not playing?
Well, that was when COVID started.
Yeah.
And I had to to do something else. So I started off my own business.
Nice.
And that's the reason I didn't play, because I had so much things going on in my life, creating a couple of businesses, and I'm happy. Maybe there's a saying, things happen for a reason. And then that's what I did in the 2 years, and then when I kind of settled down in my life, I decided, you know what, why not just play a bit of hockey, do what I love.
Yeah, well, I remember the exact game
Yeah.
because me and Charlie went to the away game in Peterborough, and I tapped on my brother's shoulder. I was like, I swear that's Susters. He's in the box watching the game, but you weren't signed back with Peterborough at the time. And then the next week, you were signed back with Peterborough again. So you've been there and back like Stepanik a few times.
Yeah.
Oh
How did
no,
you? Yeah, so
there you go.
you came back last season, and were you in the team when they beat Leeds in the cup? How was that?
Yeah, I was in a team. Unfortunately, I didn't really play that last game away. I was injured, but
Ah,
to be honest, not playing for 2 years, coming back, it was pretty hard. Just the fitness wise,
yeah,
and like playing the game, it's not a problem. It's just catching up to everyone's fitness and
yeah,
just getting your feet going again. That was the biggest challenge for myself.
Mhm.
And knowing that I was gonna sign back for this season, I kind of prepared a little bit more in the summer,
yeah,
and so far it's kind of paying off.
yeah. You're
Yeah,
on,
not did too bad.
yeah, you're on 36 points, and you played two less games as well than Farrar and Slagkowski. So you're not
Yeah,
doing.
it's a shame I didn't start the season. I had to go business in Germany, but
Yeah,
yeah, it's a shame. But no, I can't complain. I'm enjoying hockey. I'm enjoying playing
yeah.
with Lucas and now Feds. Everything's awesome.
Go on,
Yeah,
Charlie.
I must say it did make me laugh when I was looking at the messages and you went, "I got 11 points this weekend. Am I getting Player of the Week?" I was like, "Yeah, he knows it."
We couldn't choose any of you guys, so we just had to go with all three of you.
Yeah.
Oh
It was
How?
no,
getting silly when it
it's
was Bristol
perfect.
because it was like you get the notification, "Goal, Slavkowski! Oh, goal, sisters!" And it just
To be honest, it felt like every time we touched the puck in Bristol, it's a goal.
Yeah,
I don't know. We were just
just one of them
in the right
weekends.
position. Yeah, just in the right position, right decisions, and me and Lucas we speak all the time, and the quality we can play at is, we should realistically be getting 3 to 4 points a game.
Yeah,
When I would say personally, if everything goes as smooth as possible, then as you saw, 4 or 5 plus points a game.
wow.
So
Are you hopefully going to try and hit that 100-point mark for the first time because you're well on for it. We've got plenty of games left.
what can I say? If it's meant to be, it will be. So we'll see.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about a Swindon player because I love Swindon. How was Glenn Billing as a teammate and as a player on the ice? Because I really, really love him. I think his two-way game's elite. But how was he?
Uh, as you said, he was a very awesome guy in the change room, very great player. As you can see, in the past Peterborough seasons he's played, he's always put up points, and I would say, he's one of the best centermen in the league uh, regarding how he makes his decisions on the puck,
Yeah.
and that's his biggest contribution to the team. His decisions.
Yeah.
He's very smart on the puck, and you could see. I'm sure he picked up plenty of points last season, and he played with Paddy and Dunks, and that
Yeah.
line was on fire. So no, I can't say anything bad about Glennie. He's awesome. Yeah.
You've had a this season. Peterborough had quite a lot of movement with players going. You had Glennie going. You had Sirasenis move on as well, McEwen. But you've also brought some big boys in. Obviously, Luke Ferrara. How did Slava kind of adapt to the new players coming in?
Well, yeah, as you said, we've got one player coming in, we've got 3 players leaving. So I think majority, of course, stayed.
Yeah.
So I think knowing Luke, how productive he's been in Elite League, he's been top goal scorer for them. So
Yeah.
so you can't really go wrong with that. I'm sure he's got very big expectations for himself, and I'm sure he's not gonna disappoint
Yeah.
in the rest of the games coming up.
I wanted to ask about Lucas Slagkowski because he was at the Raiders for a couple seasons, and I don't think he was able to fulfill his full potential at the Raiders. And I actually said to Charlie just before he signed to the Phantoms that he would be a Slava kind of player, that European hockey kind of player. What's so special about Lucas? Because he is absolutely smashing it this season alongside yourself.
Special about Lucas, he's very his skating is very good. His vision is very high IQ, as you saw on Sunday's game,
Yeah.
and he's just an awesome hockey player. You know, he just knows how to. We play, why it works so well for us because we play European hockey. We
Yeah.
like to pass the puck, move the puck, open up, and we know if we're gonna give it, then we're gonna receive it back. And you know, for the past whatever 14, 16 games we played, that's what we've been doing every single game, and we just know how to kind of do cross ice passes, switches, and we know from back of our heads where one of us is. You know,
Yeah.
so it's just yeah, I love playing with him, and it just makes the hockey enjoyable.
Yeah. Go on,
Yeah,
Charlie.
and you had a big addition to your team. A couple games in, Ivan Broad. Oh no,
Bjorkley Nordstrom, is that it?
yeah. So
Yes,
I didn't think
Ivan,
someone
yes.
could get taller than Stepanek, but then they signed him. So how's he been?
Of course, he's a great addition to the club. He brings the extra size.
Yeah.
You know, he's strong in the corners, and I'm sure when he properly settles in and finds his feet, you know, he's gonna help us out a lot.
Yeah. You got a couple of good defensemen as well. Well, I think me and Charlie were saying before the season, your decor it's been the same for quite a few seasons, just so strong.
Yeah.
Bradley Barron in particular, he's come on leaps and bounds the past couple of seasons. Do you think he just suits the way you guys play? Just that quick pass in the 1-2 plays, which you're on about, that European style?
100%. You know, Brad is he's a very smart D man. He can skate, he can dangle. Sometimes, you know, me and Lucas are just looking from the bench and wondering, like, why is he even a D man? He should be playing up front. the amount of moves he pulls, yeah, it's ridiculous. But yeah, his skill is it's just out of words. You know, some moves he pulls out is just shocking. But yeah, we've got a very good D in our lineup. You know, Boogie, he's great. He makes great decisions. You know, we got Norts who helps out the younger kids and you know, steps up when he needs to step up. So yeah, we've got a very good backbone.
Charlie, you got any more questions?
Well, you do also have the most underrated player in the league, in my opinion, Scott Robson. No, I love him. I think he's the definition of a sit-back D-man, and I just think him next to Brad Barron works so well because it's kind of like that offensive dangling D-man, and then you just got the guy who just does all the basics, right?
Yeah, but sometimes you need that in the team.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, you do.
You do.
Robbo, he does a lot for the team. He blocks so many shots, and as you said, he makes the simple plays, and the simple plays sometimes are better than overthinking.
Yeah, 100%. Looking to the rest of the season then, before we come to an end, what's the kind of expectations for the team and some personal expectations for yourself this season? I know you touched on it a bit.
Well, for the team, 100%, we've got to be one of the top, if not the top. You know, I've got very high expectations for the team, and I'm sure my teammates have the same expectations. And personally, me, I don't really think about it. I just enjoy every weekend, and when you enjoy it and you don't really think about it, you know, the points will just come.
Yeah. I respect it a lot because I think a lot of people just think of the hockey players as hockey players, but there's actually, like you said, you need to think about yourself as well outside of hockey, and you obviously getting your businesses going. So I'm really glad that you said that you've managed to get your life sorted as well outside of hockey, because there is going to be a time where you won't be able to play in that hockey NIHL anymore, isn't there?
Of course, you have to kind of prepare for real life. Hockey, yeah, it's fun. You can play pro, but you don't know what can happen anytime. So you do need that stability in life, and luckily I've got that. And
yeah, nice. Charlie, you always end with this question. Go on.
Yes, it's been a pleasure having you on. But have you got a message to the Peterborough Phantoms fans?
Of course I do. I've got the best fans in the league, so if they can keep coming and supporting, be the loudest, it just brings the biggest hype to the team.
Yeah, it is really intimidating when we come up to Peterborough and it's in the barn. It's been like that for years, isn't it?
I love winning there, hate losing there.
No, especially when we got very big games, and they always show up, they always support us, and it's huge for the players and huge for the club.
Yeah. Martins, thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully you can get that 100-point mark this season, and we'll be looking forward to seeing that line back in Swindon of yourself, Slagkowski and Luke Ferrara.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Hello, welcome back. Again, thank you so much, Martins Susters, for hopping on. A really nice interview, as everyone has been. And the Phantoms, they're looking fire. And I think they're going to be deadly in the cup games, Charlie. I think come playoffs, they could be a team to look out for.
This league's a good league. Every team is good. You've got teams like Swindon yet to hit their best. You've got other teams which have got more potential. So, but Ballas and Goodbye will probably win playoffs.
That would be a pretty cool story, seeing the Bees win the playoffs. I'll be rooting for them if we don't get there. Let's look ahead to this weekend's fixtures before we finally look at the league table. There's only 3 games on the Saturday, and then there's 5 games on the Sunday. And Leeds have got a weekend off, Charlie. So this just gives them time for the new import to come in, to get more training sessions. Hopefully you can get to know the lads more. So the Knights have the weekend off, and they can see their opponents around. And I'm sure Aldridge will be doing some scouting. So on the Saturday, we have the Solway Sharks versus the Sheffield Steel Dogs. The winner of this game goes into playoffs. I know that Sheffield are already in it, but if Solway beat them, Solway go into that playoff spot. That's a huge game, isn't it, Charlie?
Wow. I didn't expect that, actually. Solway Sharks not having the greatest of starts this season, but if you can get yourself in playoffs early, the mindset change for Solway will be huge.
They'll be buzzing after that weekend as well. They could be anyone.
I dread to think what night they had after that MK game.
Oh no. Yeah, that would have been a hammering.
Must have been the funnest night of them Scottish lads' lives. Yeah.
The other games is the Pitbulls versus the Tigers. The Pitbulls need to rebound. They need to bounce back. And I think they can against the Tigers. I think the Tigers in recent weeks, they picked up points, but they've also shown they can be beaten. And then this is a huge game. I'm going to be tuning into this one because Swindon don't have a game. The Lightning at home against the Peterborough Phantoms. What a game. The rivalry as well. We all remember the little picture which had all the Phantoms players and they were writing Weldon or something. They were slandering all the players. This is going to be a humdinger, Charlie.
I want to see Susters bag a hat.
Oh, same. I want Susters to bag.
But no, they are. It's going to be a good game. Good matchup. Interesting to see if Lawrence will be back. That'll be a big addition for MK. But MK on MKI, so I'm always going to back the Lightning.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. But we gave them a good game on their own rink, so we'll have to see. Moving on to Sunday, the Lightning then travel down to the Bees. I think this could be a little interesting one. The Bees aren't playing on Saturday. They've only got one game this weekend on their own rink against the Lightning. Will the small rink, Charlie, trip up the MK Lightning again?
No. Some people wouldn't expect that. I think MK, this is for me what MK are like, and we'll see if I'm proven right. They're the type of team when they lose a silly game which they don't want to lose, they'll go bosh up the next weekend. They'll grab a 4-point weekend, and then the weekend after they'll lose the away game. But, that's just a sneaky prediction. But no, I think it'll be a post game, and I can see like an overtime Ballas Gabai versus Wallace, and
Oh,
could be a good little game, that one.
It'll be a good one. You have to. Oh no, we've got a game on Sunday, don't we? I was going to say if
Yeah.
it was on the Saturday, you could definitely go down to Slough and watch that. Talking about our game, we've got the Raiders away for the third time this year. We play the Raiders away. What are you expecting from this one? Because the Raiders are scoring goals now. It seems like they're clicking a bit more. They've got that new import coming in. It is going to be tough for Swindon, and it is a place which we do find a bit intimidating sometimes.
We've got to be big, we've got to be strong, and we've got to play a good two-way game.
Yeah.
When we play well in Raiders, we win. We are a good team, and we need to get the points far, and we need to get Gale on the board, etc. But that new import for Raiders, I think he's got a hat trick against Leeds. He's looking very, very tasty, and he's that big import they were missing.
Yeah.
So for Raiders, they need to prove a point. They beat us last time on their rink, so they want to get back-to-back wins. For Swindon, we need 2 points.
Yeah, we do. Obviously, our rink isn't going to be open. We're predicting. We don't actually know. I don't know anything, even though I do socials for the club. We're predicting just a one-off that it could be the 15th, that weekend of the 15th. Fingers crossed, where we've got Leeds, because we haven't got a game the weekend before that, and the next 3 home fixtures, this week included, we don't have a game. Obviously, we can't play them, and there's been nothing rearranged so far. The other games was the Seahawks against the Steel Dogs. Again, a difficult weekend against Steel Dogs. You're playing Solway on the Saturday, who's just come off a 4-point weekend. And then you got to go down to the Seahawks. So a double away game. Charlie, this could be the weekend they can try and get some momentum there if they can pick up a couple of points.
Yes, it's difficult for the Steel Dogs because you lose these 2 games and you really feel like you're in the trenches. Whereas if you can grab 2 points out of this game, almost potentially if Solway lose that other game, if they've got 2 games this weekend, you can get 4 points, 5 points ahead of them. So for Steel Dogs, it's really like you either build some momentum on it or you feel like you're in the dumps. So it's a big weekend for them.
Solway do have a game on the Sunday. It's against Phantoms away. So I can imagine if Phantoms lose on the Saturday against Milton Keynes, they're going to be wanting to put Solway to bed on the Sunday. So we'll have to see that one. And then the last one is the double header, obviously. The Tigers playing the Pitbulls on the Saturday. That's the return leg on the Sunday. I just wanted to make a point quickly on the Pitbulls. I don't like that the league has put their fixtures with so many back-to-backs. I wouldn't like that if Swindon had them. I prefer playing a different team each day. I'm not a fan of the back-to-backs. Of cup games, of course, because that's a back-to-back as it is. But in the league back-to-backs, I'm not a fan of them. I don't know about you, Charlie. I like to see different opponents each day.
I quite like the back-to-backs.
Wow.
I disagree again. But no, I like the back-to-backs because they bring rivalry. So if the day before someone's smash Rennie Mar, the next day they got to be ready for it. I quite like the momentum it carries on to the next game. But at the same time, it is quite nice playing Leeds and then Peterborough, etc. So I can see both sides.
Yeah, I guess. Let me know in the comments, actually. That's an interesting one. Players and fans, would you rather be playing a different team each day? So that's all the fixtures. Let's quickly look at the league table before we wrap this one up. Obviously, the Leeds Knights are in first. They're on 26 points, and they've got the same games played as Milton Keynes. They take a 4-point advantage over the MK Lightning. So that's a bit of comfort space for Leeds. However, as we mentioned earlier, the whole Seahawks have got 2 games in hand, which would only take them 2 points behind Leeds. And then looking at the bottom of the table, Charlie, the Pitbulls, they're stuck on 6 points. With the Sheffield Steel Dogs on 12. So they are 6 points off playoffs at the moment. They really need to pick up some form, don't they?
Yeah.
And then looking at the middle pack, we have the Bees on 17, 16. It is really tight in the middle. So, yeah, really competitive. We absolutely love it. We'll let you guys know which guest we have. I know we said have Bally on this week, but I think we might have him on next week, actually. We'll have to see. Charlie, have you got anything to add from this weekend or anything about English hockey?
Up the National League.
Yeah, it is the best league in the world. I'll be honest, I can't wait for our America trip as well. I'm actually buzzing for that. So, thank you.
Oilers are overrated.
Okay, we're not going to get into that. Right. Thank you very much for listening or watching. We'll see you guys next week. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.